Hello viewers, in this video I am going to present my predictions for May 2025 Visa Bulletin final action date chart. The table 1 above is the copy paste of April 2025 Visa Bulletin final action date chart, and the table 2 is the predicted forward movements for May 2025 Visa Bulletin final action date chart. And I have some color codes here highlighted, which I will be explaining it shortly. On the table 1, you can see I have highlighted some blue cells. What I mean by that color code specifically to highlight there on China EB3 other workers section, Mexico and Philippines EB1 category. When I look at the backlog data and available visas on those have bulk of numbers unused in the current fiscal year. So definitely those numbers are being used for high demand areas in the current fiscal year, and that's why we see a lot of forward movements in many of the other EB categories for different countries. And we have been seeing that forward movements in the past few visa bulletins as well, and that is the indication that these I can say, instead of saying unused visas, I can call it as not required visa numbers for these blue cell categories are being used by wherever it's high demand and required are applied. And we do not know how many of them applied to which high demand areas across the board, because that is up to the USCIS and other agencies' discretion of how they want to utilize that not required visas to the required areas. So let's go into the table 2 section where I wanted to show my prediction. EB1 rest of the world, I don't see any change. It will stay current. EB2 rest of the world, I am predicting as forward 1 month, but I still have highlighted in yellow, but I will come to that in the end. EB3 skilled, I will still predict that as 1 month forward movement. EB3 other workers, I'm predicting as 1 or 2 month forward movement at this time. EB1 China, for the past couple of visa bulletins, we are not seeing the movements at all, but I'm still predicting it will move 2 weeks at least in the coming visa bulletin, because it has to start moving forward to reach the date in the data filing chart. EB2 China, it has seen a forward movement, like a lot of forward movement in the past visa bulletin, and there is still some room for forward movement, and I'm thinking that, as I said, some of the not required numbers from EB3 other workers China may be applied to EB2 China and EB3 China. So maybe that could be the reason why there was a huge jump in the visa bulletin, April visa bulletin chart that we saw. Around 4 to 5 months of forward movement we saw in EB2 and EB3 skilled China. And I don't see any change in the EB3 other workers China. EB1 India, I am seeing table 1 plus 2 weeks forward movement. We did see a couple of weeks forward movement in the past visa bulletin, where I predicted it may not move, or it may slightly move back as a retrogress, but it did move forward movement of 2 weeks last visa bulletin. And when I looked at the backlog data, there is still room for some forward movements in the current fiscal year. It will continue to maybe move every month as 2 weeks until end of this fiscal year, which is September 2025, if the numbers don't increase further in the backlog. So let's stay that way for now. EB2 India, we did see 1 month forward movement in the past visa bulletin, but I don't see it will be the same for this time as well. I'm predicting only 1 week forward movement for EB2 India at this time. because of huge backlog numbers I see every month in the year 2013. And I see that EB3 skilled workers for India also will only move 2 weeks. We saw 1 month forward movement as well in the past Visa Bulletin, but I'm skeptical to say that for now that it will move 1 month this Visa Bulletin as well. So I kept it as 2 weeks forward movement for EB3 skilled India. EB3 other workers will follow the same as well. We have seen that in the historical data. Um, Mexico and Philippines, it would synchronize and follow what the rest of the world movements are. That's how I see in the backlog data. For example, there are a lot of numbers, not required numbers in EB1 Mexico and EB2, EB1 Philippines, as well as also there are some not required numbers I see that are open to use on EB2, EB3 skilled Mexico, and EB2 Philippines. Those three categories, like I'm talking about EB2 Mexico, EB3 skilled Mexico, EB2 Philippines. Those three areas have some not required numbers that could be possibly utilized in EB3 skilled Philippines, because there is a huge backlog in EB3 skilled Philippines, and we still see that having a lot of forward movement. That gives me a hint that those not required numbers in the other areas of Mexico and Philippines are being applied to the high demand area. In my opinion and prediction, that's what I see. So I'm going to say at this time that Mexico and Philippines final action date chart table would look synchronized with, or would move synchronized with what the rest of the world table look like in the coming Visa Bulletin charts. So that's my prediction about these categories. And I'm coming to the color code yellow. So if you look at the Visa Bulletin forward movement chart for final election date particularly, you would see bigger jumps at the start of the quarter, every quarter inside a fiscal year. So there are 4 quarters in a fiscal year. Quarter one starts in October, so you'd see some movement in the data filing chart at that time to accept new applications. In Q2 fiscal year, you will start to see the final action date chart date movements, and Q3 and Q4 will have a lot of movement in the final action date chart compared to the data filing chart. So, for example, we saw that in the mid of Q2 fiscal year, which is between January to March 2025, we saw a lot of movements happening in both the data filing chart and final action date chart. And in Q3, start of Q3, which is April 2025, there was a huge jump in final action date chart compared to the data filing chart, and that means that you will now start to see bigger jumps in the final action date chart, particularly at the start of the quarter, right? So April, we already seen a lot of forward movements in most of the categories, which was definitely a great news, but it may not be the same amount of jump for May and June. We may see that in July Visa Bulletin, because that's the start of the Q4 of the fiscal year 2025. So even, the reason I highlighted yellow here for rest of the world, Mexico and Philippines, which are synchronized, is because either it might move a month, as I predicted here on these categories, or it might stay the same. It might stay the same as the previous Visa Bulletin, which is April 2025 Visa Bulletin. The reason is that this kind of jumps could also happen at the start of the next quarter, which is in July of 2025. Okay, that's my prediction. So yellow, I'm giving a caution that it may not move. It might stay the same as the April 2025 Visa Bulletin. And green text inside that, I'm predicting that, okay, it might move up to a month in a best case scenario. Worst case scenario, it might stay the same. That's what I'm trying to say through this two different color codes. So hope this helps. But all I'm trying to do here is what could be the two different scenarios that could impact the forward movement um, based on how USAAS and DOS are approaching the date movements in this case, based on what I've seen in the past. Okay, so hope this helps. If you have any questions on this prediction, please, as always, post it in the comment section. I will try to catch up as soon as possible. And I'm giving this data as best as I can predict. So if there is any um, corrections or any wordings that I need to change, please let me know. I can always improve in my future videos. Thanks a lot for your time, and let's stay connected. And also, as I always request, please subscribe to my channel and share with your network so I get more visibility to my channel and get more subscribers through them. Thank you so much for your time.